How y'all doing? This is Reverend Dick, and I'm back again. Today, we're gonna have another look at what happens when another Swedish town demographically replaces itself. Now, this is not a conspiracy theory. This is not some fucking nut job reporting. This is just regular people out in regular old Sweden realizing that maybe this shit wasn't the best of ideas. As usual, please, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, please share it, please subscribe, and have a look in the description for links to the articles that I'll be reading, my social media shit, and hopefully very soon a fucking Patreon link, because I too want to take part of the hipster alimony system. Filipstad in crisis. We are exchanging the population. Filipstad municipality employees in Filipstad warns of a desperate situation. According to Swedish state television's assignment review, the problems are because the municipality is changing populations. While domestic born and working age leave the municipality, unemployment is soaring among the foreign born who have moved in. During the 2015 migration crisis, Filipstad was one of the Swedish municipalities that received the most migrants in relation to their population. Today, the municipality is in crisis. Swedish television's assignment review has gone through statistics showing that domestic born and working age leave the municipality while foreign born with high unemployment remain. In Filipstad, around 750 adults come from Syria, Somalia, Eritrea, Afghanistan, and Iraq. In this group, unemployment and dependency are very high, while education levels are very low. This group runs the risk of ending with an eternal alienation that is already heavily burdening the municipal economy, writes city manager Claes Hultgren in the municipality's latest financial report. Claes Hultgren tells SVT that many of the migrants Filipstad has received do not really have conditions to enter the labor market. You are too old maybe and are illiterate or have very low educational levels. We must then accept that there will be some people who will need community support for their livelihoods, Hultgren told SVT. Already in 2012, Filipstad's negative population trend is reversing and the municipality's population began to increase. But when assignment reviews goes through the statistic, it turns out that only the foreign-born population is increasing while the migration of domestic-born continues. And they are leaving the cities, the white flight. Between 2012 and 2018, the group born in Filipstad has decreased by 640 persons, while the group born abroad has increased by 963 people. We are changing the population. You can think what you want of it. It depends on how you are laid. But it is only a finding of the fact that is actually what we are doing, and then we have to relate to it, says Jim Frölander, integration manager in Filipstad, to Swedish television. The Social Democratic Municipal Council Per Gruvberger, who has ruled for 16 years in Filipstad, demands that the state take responsibility for the situation that arises. Resources and a national equalization are needed to fulfill this mission, which arose because of how we organized our asylum reception over a certain period of time, Gruvberger told Swedish television. Filipstad's dark numbers for violent crimes. The assignment review program revealed how the municipality of Filipstad has major problem with low-skilled, newly arrived migrants, in some cases illiterate. Now comes further frightening figures to further complement the image of a municipality in crisis. Crime statistics shows that in 2018, 94% more violent crimes were reported in the municipality of Filipstad than in Värmland County as a whole, according to statistics from BRO, which Erika Olsson and Newsworthy compiled. In 2018, 139 violent crimes were reported in Filipstad, an increase of 10 from the previous year. When the Crime Prevention Council, BRO, makes comparisons, the numbers of crimes per 100,000 inhabitants is calculated. Then the number of reported violent crimes in Filipstad during 2018, 1,289, will be violent crimes per 100,000 inhabitants. This is a 94% more than the entire county of Värmland. This has not always been the case. Going back to 27, approximately as many violent crimes per 100,000 inhabitants in Filipstad were reported as the whole of Värmland County. According to BRO, crimes that fall under Chapter 3 of the Criminal Code are counted as violent crimes. Above all, it is about abuse. In previous years, BRO presented a broader definition of violent crime, which also included, for example, robberies and rapes, but these are not included here. The pictures below shows the development of reported crimes over time from 1996 to 2018 and is taken from erikaolsen.se. So yeah, I'll do a wee bit of a zoom in, I hope. Maybe I'll get this to work properly. There we go. And as unprofessional as this is, I'm just going to continue on. The number of reported violent crimes in Filipstad, 1,289 per 100,000 inhabitants, also stands out compared to the state, 881 reported crimes per 100,000 inhabitants. There are 40% more registrations in Filipstad. If you look at the graphics with different timelines compiled by Newsworthy, you can see that the number of reported violent crimes increases over time in Filipstad. In the state as a whole, the development is not as clear. In 1 year's time, notifications decline. In 5 years' time, they will stand still, while in 15 years we see some increase, right? Newsworthy. What emerges is that there have not always been more violent crime reports in Filipstad. 15 years ago, fewer violent crimes were reported per 100,000 inhabitants in Filipstad, 574, than in the entire country, 768. The crisis in Filipstad. Social welfare contribution have multiplied. Filipstad is close to collapse due to the asylum immigration to the municipality. Now Assignments Review has made a program about the municipality's desperate situation. It was in April that Filipstad warned that the municipality is about to crash after the large asylum immigration. Now Assignment Review has also made an episode of the crisis-affected municipality. The program quotes, amongst other things, how Prime Minister Stefan Löfven from the Social Democrats, in connection with the asylum wave, boldly stated that Sweden's reception of refugees is the whole of Sweden's responsibility, and therefore all municipalities should receive refugees. No one should be able to get away from this, basically. It's a bad Google translation. Filipstad accepted the asylum migration, and now the municipality is near disaster. According to the report, financial assistance distributed in the municipality has increased from just under 5 million Swedish crowns in 26 to 29.6 million in 2018. Very many are unemployed by those who came here in 2015. You do not see that they can get into any work at once, but can take several years. Ideally, they should attend some kind of primary school education. Those who can contribute and help you to cope with the situation, we see leaving the municipality according to the statistics. Have I got it right? It says in the assignment review. Yes will be the answer. So where does this leave Sweden? Well, leaves us with a bunch of people that sounded the alarm ages ago are actually proven right. And that some people are finally waking up to the grim reality that we all have to face. All of us good nations that did the right thing and took them all in because it was the humane thing to do. So now this guy Westerholm is commenting after Filipstad scandal. It's time to start talking about repatriation. So, Filipstad is visited in this program where Swedes move out and newly arrived low-skilled migrants remain. 7% of tax revenue goes to welfare support. In a normally functioning municipality, about 1% goes to this same welfare support. You do the math, says Johan Westerholm, responsible publisher at the Leader Pages, in a large interview on the so-called skills range, support for support, Alex Schulman, and the tough measures that are needed to be done. In an article on March 23, 2015, which today looks prophetic, Johan Westerholm, who describes himself as a social democrat of the old school and Karlbyist, don't ask me about that word because it doesn't even make sense in Swedish, writes about the place Kopparberg in the municipality of Ljusnaburg. I can say that if today's volumes were to double, as the Migration Board has announced densification, we would see how society would collapse completely. Not only school and primary care would be affected. You can think about how an urban area with maybe 3,000 inhabitants would be affected if there were around 1,000 people who cannot speak the language and have no employment if the days go by. The text was written in March 2015, before the big migration wave took off seriously after the summer of 2015. So here's a bunch of other more information that we have seen before, so I'm going to skip about for a bit. So let's see here. Klaus Hultgren tells SVT that many of the migrants Filipstad has received do not really have the conditions to enter the labor market. You are too old, and maybe you are illiterate or have a very low educational level. We must then accept that there will be some people who will need community support for their livelihoods. In the program, podcaster Alex Schulman also shows up. Schulman has been appointed Filipstad's ambassador, it turns out, and the introduction of the program, the municipal council calls for Pampuan. Westerholm says it shows a bottomless ignorance and arrogance from Schulman. Now, it is the case that municipal politicians have to relate to the municipal law, the Public Administration Act, RF, and above all, the municipal accounting law. Schulman's comment indicates that he has a bottomless ignorance of social economy. Schulman has an abyss of ignorance. What is it? This behavior is not unique, especially in media circles. You have extremely high concentration of media people living in Bromma or Södermalm or Östermalm in Stockholm. There you do not encounter these problems. He lives completely in a bubble. Schulman sits and pods and makes a lot of money on it. There is no understanding of Filipstad's problems, says Westerholm. Especially a sequence in the program with Schulman becomes representative, Westerholm thinks. He points to his grandfather's old home, which has now become a mosque, and thinks this is nice and fantastic. Had that house been in Djursholm, it would have cost around 20 million. You may wonder why it has become a mosque. Well, because nobody in Filipstad can afford the heating costs. Had it not become a mosque, it would have been empty. The fate of Alex Schulman's grandparents' home is quite telling for the development of Filipstad. Between 2012 and 2018, the group born in Filipstad has decreased by 640 persons, while the group born abroad has increased by 963. Although the problems in Filipstad are acute, they are not unique. Many other municipalities around Sweden are struggling with similar problems. There is a form of white flight. Swedes who educate themselves move there where they can get a job. When we have this group of newcomers who do not have adequate education. In Filipstad, 30 million Swedish crown is paid out in support payments per year. If you look at the tax revenue, you eliminate government grants and the municipal equalization system, then it is about 7% of the budget. In a normally functioning municipality, about 1% goes to this welfare support. You do the math, says Johan Westerholm. The problem is compounded by the fact that when the municipality wants to hire, they do not succeed in getting the recruits to move to the municipality. The salary you pay as a municipal employer, you will not receive anything back from the municipal tax, and wears off further. Why has it become like this? These municipalities served as a dumping ground for new arrivals, the migrants that the big cities did not want. It happened with the good memory of these municipalities. They were very willing recipients, until the government changed the establishment allowance to 2 years instead of 3 years, which is basically that each municipality got, I think it was 2 million Swedish crowns per person that they accepted that was born abroad, and it was supposed to be for 3 years. So many municipalities have done budgets and shit with this money in the accountants, and they had to cancel a bunch of shit because the money just ran out 1 year ahead of time, even. It was simply that until the rules were changed, migration was a profitable business for this municipality. It was a system error. And here you see the sickness that they take tax money to make it a profitable venture to bring in new arrivals that will not do any good for society in the long run. But it is, short-sightedness. Johan Westerholms also points to the 2011 migration agreement between the Reinfeldt government and the Environment Party. Until then, the migration board's capacity was between 15,000 and 20,000 annually. It was just at the limit of what we managed, a little loud, but it went. Then the migration was released, and we can see how it went after that. If you had not let go of everything then, we would not have been in the situation we are in today. There has been talk of competence reigns, amongst other things, by the Swedish state television. Yes, I raised this already in 2015. A Somali working age migrant was an average of 1.7 years of schooling. For every person who has the equivalent of a medical education, 17 years of study there must be 9 illiterates. An average Syrian migrant has 7 years of schooling. Sounds like the talk that asylum immigration meant array no competence is a lie. Of course it is. Of course. It's a big lie. What reactions did you get when you brought this up in 2015? I can quote Anders Lindberg at Aftonbladet, racist and gloomy. Then I can add that I would have liked to have been wrong about the development. What do those who criticize you say, those who argue that the asylum immigration was sustainable today? Most are very quiet. Then there is a category that tries to shine that they always have had a different view. And then you have Anders Lindberg. The only thing that honors Anders Lindberg is that he sticks to his opinion. Let's talk about what awaits the municipalities. Magdalena Anderssons, the finance minister, has said that there is room for reform of 25 billion Swedish crowns in the autumn budget. Is it there? If it is so that operations outside the municipalities can be saved, there is no room for reform. The big snack ice cream has become the free year, which is said to cost 8 billion Swedish crowns to introduce. Will it become a reality, or will it be scrapped due to the economic situation? I will have to look into what it is that they are talking about here in a separate video, because there's just so many things that are completely fucked up in Sweden that it would take ages to explain in this video, and I think that I'm already up quite a few minutes. It is possible that it will be in the bill, but when it's said, it will be clear to the municipalities what subsidies they will receive, and they already have a structural deficit of 20 billion Swedish crowns. That was before the red numbers came in the summer, and before the National Institute of Economic Research warned that we are heading into a downturn. What will happen? If this government is to remain, the 73-point list needs to be renegotiated. In that renegotiation, everyone will lose out. What if you don't? Then we will see the same situation as in Haninge in the 1990s. That is, municipalities will start setting up payments, and the state may go in and clean up. I do not rule out a government crisis, however. I do not believe in an extra election. What is the solution? There are a number of measures that needs to be done. Firstly, we must accelerate the return programs. Those who go on grants but do not have a right of residence, they must be repatriated. Then we talk about a large-scale repatriation. They pie in the labor market through black jobs. We have to condition supply support. There you can work on the Trelleborg model. This means that anyone seeking support is tested against the entire labor market before it becomes relevant for support. This is a retarded translation. It's basically work support. It is a salary support paid out with tax money. Uh, fucking Google Translate. It can be about any job. It will be necessary to provide municipality with additional resources in the form of government grants, but Johan Westerholm also thinks that in order to get a more long-term sustainable solution, the municipalities need to be given more freedom to decide on how the welfare support should be paid. Some of the supply support can be paid out as food or clothing vouchers, which can be redeemed in stores in the municipality, all to push costs. Long term, if we have a family where the mother is 45 and has 5 children, then we invest the resources on the children instead. That is where the money is most useful, and we will end up in a situation where we need to choose, says Johan Westerholm. Already today, a number of migrants can be returned to their home countries. It is the group that has been granted asylum but returns to their home countries on vacation. The migration board can then revoke the residence permit with reference to the fact that protection needs no longer exist. It's just that it is not applied today, but it will be. Now here's the sick thing. In Sweden, if you say are an asylum seeker within great quotation marks from say Iran or Syria or Iraq, you can use your fucking state welfare benefits to go on vacation back to the country that you supposedly fled from war and persecution, but yet in somehow, some magical way, you can go back there and voila, go on vacation. So yeah, this is part of the issue. This is part of why Sweden is slowly going under. The death of 1,000 small cuts. Now this, of course, has left the very vanilla nationalist party, Sweden Democrats, furious. So the party leader Jimmy Åkesson's attack after Filipstad. We warned, the left-wing liberals laughed. Following a Simon Review's attention-grabbing report on the situation in Filipstad, where foreign-born dependence has put the municipality in a financial crisis, the Swedish Democrats party leader Jimmy Åkesson attacks the establishment in a post on Twitter. On Wednesday, a Simon Review went through the crisis municipality of Filipstad's economy, a report that shows that the large reception of migrants is a major problem for the municipality as the unemployment rate of migrants are soaring. And there is no doubt that the composition of the population is a major challenge for the municipality. We are changing the population. You can think of what you want, it depends on how you are laid, but it is only a finding of the fact that this is actually what we are doing, and then we must deal with it, says Jim Frölander, integration manager in Filipstad. Now Jimmy Åkesson is going for a fierce attack on the establishment which have paved the way for the situation in Filipstad. We warned, the left liberals laughed. Are you still laughing? It is time for responsibility and reason in Swedish politics. And this is from the vanilla nationalist party leader, who on the regular excludes people from the party for having too awkward opinions for the party to wanting to associate with them. And this is a sad fact about the so-called nationalist wing in Sweden. But then again, here you have it. This is demographic replacement. This is what it looks like in a welfare state. This is what loads of y'all motherfuckers have to look forward to. Now, in the description I will post a link to each of the articles that are used for this, and I will also post the links to my social media pages, and sometime during the day I will also edit in fucking Patreon link. I need to get that shit going. Anyhow, this has been Reverend Dick. Have a good one.